Whatever you decide to do in life, do it with passion. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Be a person, a personality you could be proud of. Make sure you take care of people next to you, because it'll always pay back tenfold over a period of time.
Andreas Borgman. He started in construction, real estate, mechanics, lost almost everything during the financial crash, and rebuilt from zero by solving one personal problem. How do I eat exactly the way I want, every single day? That question became KCAL.
You might be able to train your body, but imagine you slept 2 hours later and your potential grew 25%.
Exactly.
Would you not do that investment? What do you do in those hours that you don't sleep? Most people just watch TV.
Yeah.
Great. What do you get out of TV? Just nonsense. Or swipe. Oh, TikTok. Oh, I'm getting smarter. If you think you're the smartest person in the room as a CEO, you should probably find another job, because you are going to be a problem for the business.
I love that.
A friend of mine, he said, look, I have a kitchen. I said, look, man, I don't have the fun. So he's like, look, don't worry about it, Andreas. I know you. I know, I've got a lot of local friends. They know you. Take it. And when you're an entrepreneur and in early stage, you need these opportunities to grow, because if you don't have them, it's super, super hard. So many businesses fail because of egos and this, or I'm too good, I shouldn't ask for help with this and that. Help is the smartest thing you can do. So we acquired this kitchen, and that kind of changed the business. I mean, we went from crazy, man. It was really crazy, actually. We went from like turning over 3.8 to 25 million in a year. The more you tell me I'm wrong, the more I know you care.
Welcome back, Alphas, to a new inspiring episode of the Alpha Talks Show, the #1 business and success show in the region, where we don't talk trends, we talk foundations. Today's Alpha guest didn't build a food company. He built a system for how humans should live. He started in construction, real estate, mechanics, lost almost everything during the financial crash, and rebuilt from zero by solving one personal problem. How do I eat exactly the way I want, every single day? That question became KCAL, one of the most influential wellness and nutrition brands in the Middle East. But this conversation isn't about calories. It's about discipline over motivation, habits over hype, and why real healthcare starts before the hospital. So welcome to the show, Andreas Borgman. Pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
How do you feel today?
I feel awesome.
Great.
It's it's been a busy day. I wake up very early, but there's some cool stuff has happened today. We had some good fun in the office. We were filming some stuff. And,
nice.
And we had a lot of laughs in the office. There's nothing better than ending a Friday before the weekend with the team having a laugh.
Exactly.
Going to and then ready for Monday.
Let me start with the question that I usually start the episode with, which is, once we publish the episode on all the platforms, people will see the thumbnail, the title, and will think that this episode looks very interesting. What do you promise them today to gain if they give us their time?
Well, I think what I'm particularly obsessed with is optimizing my life. I think a lot of people waste time on things that don't really matter. So I think we will probably touch base on that. True. Creating habits, systems that works around your everyday life, so you can basically optimize. Because I think a lot of people, whether they are employed or unemployed, self-employed, or even unemployed, now, it's hard to live here unemployed. Then there is a lot of noise that you can either remove the noise and spend that time on something more creative, family or whatever, or you can build a business that's stronger by more focus. So I think that's I like to optimize everything I do. Building businesses is tough. Having a family adds another level of complexity to it, because if you're very passionate and very driven, you never switch off.
Exactly. Let's go back in the days. Who's Andreas? Back in the days.
That's some good question. Who am I? I would probably say I'm an empath. I've always been very hypersensitive. I really love building stuff. Anything that makes occupy my mind with solving a problem. Whether now it's businesses, but when I was a kid, it used to be me building bicycles, and I would take them apart. Anything in my mom and dad's house I would take apart, and they're like, have you taken that apart too? Now put it back together, you know. So I would probably call myself emotional builder.
Very interesting. Why do you say that, emotional builder? You can build anything, but why you attach to it emotional?
Well, the thing is that as I said, I'm an empath, which is highly sensitive to people's emotions and very well aware of other people's emotions and so forth. And that's until you start learning to control it, it shapes your life. Even from the early days, you know, like how I would, you know, feel people in the classroom when I was a kid, you know, how I would, you know, tackle problems emotionally. At some point it was violent when I was very young. At a later stage it was more giving. So, you know, I mean, your past or your early days of your life, which kind of what you can remember or parts of it you can remember, has a huge impact on a later life, right?
Of course.
So I mean, I think emotions shape most people.
Of course.
Until they learn to understand what's worth listening to and what's not worth listening to.
You were living in Africa before coming to Dubai, correct?
Malta, first
Oh,
Africa,
yeah.
then Malta, and now Dubai.
Lovely. Take me through this journey quickly. Africa, then what made you move to
Yeah,
Malta?
I mean, look, I come from a small village in Denmark, and when I say small, there was like one grocery shop.
Yeah.
There was no pizzeria. It wasn't invented at that time. And there was one school. Every kid I knew went to the same school. And, you know, when we went out on holiday, it was like, because I don't come from a fancy background. So I've never been on an airplane. But in 1992, 91, 92, my dad got offered a job to move to Africa. And my mom and dad are both from small villages as well. And my dad is like, funny enough, he was just been here, we were talking about it, you know, and I told him that shaped my future, unknowingly. But we went there. My dad has never been in anywhere like big, maybe Germany or Sweden, you know, that's just the borders next to Denmark. And we went there, and it's a completely different planet. It's like going to Mars. You know? All of a sudden, you know, all new kind of types of mindsets, and the people are a different color. It's just
weather
weird.
and everything.
Yeah, so I mean, there was a rain season, and I went to an English school. I didn't know how to speak English. So that was the early days of my, let's see, pre-teen years.
It built a fighter in you, I believe.
Sorry?
It built a fighter mindset in you. In order to, when you have a lot of different things at the same time.
Sure. I mean, I think all the things I've done has you know, I think development and personality is a continuous journey, whatever influxes, ups and downs you have. I mean, I think the failures are the ones that builds the most character if you understand them properly. But it definitely got me to realize, at that time I didn't know that, of course, but now I can analyze it and understand. Learning other cultures, respecting people in a different way, really led me to become a person that are good at, you know, acquiring contacts. And obviously here in Dubai, everything at least 20 years ago is about contacts, right? So of course I'd still have all these contacts, but how do you get in? So getting to understand people understand their point of view and so on. Obviously, that's part of being a leader as well, you know. So it definitely led me to believing that the world is not as big as I thought it was, or the world is much bigger but not scary.
True.
You know, staying in a village where you play with the same people. I mean, I have
every single one.
and I have I don't have those friends anymore, but I can see from Facebook that they're still living the same place.
Yeah.
You know, nothing really happened.
True.
You know, and you know they might be perfectly happy with that.
True.
That's great. You know,
Exactly.
I suppose that exposure has both positive and negative. The positive is that you see more, you want more. The negative part is that, well, you don't see more. You just stay in your own little bubble.
Exactly. The move to Malta was your choice, or it was a family choice as well?
No, that was my first international business, which I started with a couple of friends, which was IT.
Man, you worked in everything.
Yeah.
IT.
Well, this is you know, growing up with ADHD. When I was in school, when I was a kid, you know, I could never sit still. I would always do a million things at once. You know, and funny enough, whatever I do today in terms of the business that I run now is I get to do a lot of cool stuff too. So that was kind of a random, not a random thing, but it was kind of like, we have an idea. I said, you know what, I'll go. And then like, you'll go, just like that. Found a lawyer, get the business set up, went there, called him, I'm here. And the guy's like,
are you serious?
What? We just spoke a week ago. Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
To that level.
Rented an apartment, stayed there for almost 5 years.
Oh, who?
Yeah.
And then Dubai part came, which is the longest part in your journey.
Yes, 20 years. Dubai is actually the place I've lived the longest ever,
True.
even longer than Denmark.
Yeah.
So this is more my home than Denmark.
Exactly. What made you have this move to Dubai? And back in the days, Dubai was not like Dubai now.
No.
So
No.
what happened?
Keep in mind that Dubai back then was still like Dubai, like, whoa, this is crazy, you know. Obviously today it's like, whoa, if you haven't been here, it's like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
So back then, I got bored of Malta. You know, I was very young. I was only 26 when I left Malta, 27. And it was just too small. It's a small island, beautiful place. In the winter, kind of sucks because everybody like just locks their door and stays in for 3 months because the weather is horrific, like 5 degrees, wind all the time. It's a small island, right? And I thought, you know what, it's time to try something else. And I had a friend living here, and he said, come here, check this out. Got here, went here for 10 days, and I saw, you know, the roads. I love to motorbikes. In Malta, the roads are like although there's asphalt, it's like dirt roads. It's up and down, you know, like riding a horse carriage. And I got here, I'm like, whoa, these roads, man, matching down to Side Road, flooring it, you know.
I'm staying.
So you know, I went back to Malta, and I offloaded the property that I have there, and 1 week later I was here.
Andreas, do you have plans, or you jump in and create the plan in the place?
No, man. You know, in the early days, I had no plans. I just went with the flow. I kind of went with what I felt was right, kind of the gut feeling. I didn't really have a plan. I knew, I mean, at that time, I already kind of was pretty solid financially. So I knew whatever would happen, I'm okay. So I went here and got involved in real estate like everybody else. And I was like, whoa, you know, like living the high life, you know, the diamond watch, all that stuff, you know, cars and you know, everything was like, whoa, this is never ending, you know, like, you know, well, then it just went, boom.
The crash, right?
Ooh, man, the banks were calling me. Your loan to value ratio is down. You need to pay more money. I paid more money, and then I said, "Oh, it's just a little bit," and just kept going down. And his pocket empty now. I can't pay anymore. Had to offload. Yeah, I lost. That was quite. But look, my mindset, even though at that time, it was really not good. But my mind's always been like, you know what? I'm at the bottom. There's only one way. That's up again. Yeah. Freaking hell. I'll just climb the ladder again. You know, I'll find a way.
Were you married at that time, or you had responsibilities?
No, that and that obviously has a huge change on everything, because once you have a family and responsibilities, you have to play your cards
True.
much more safe, right?
Yeah.
Because now you have family, and now you have much more responsibilities. You know, I mean, I can go and live on the street. That's not a
course,
problem for
yeah.
me. I'm not.
True.
But when you have a family and kids and so on, you can't do that, right? So no, I didn't have responsibilities as such. I just myself, and I went from living in very fancy places in the marina, actually living in two places because I couldn't decide which one, so I was just living in both. I
The
went
real
down-
estate.
Exactly, right? It's just,
True.
it made people mad.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember one time I went and dropped off about 2 million dirhams in cash. I got it in the bank, took too long to transfer. I wanted to put down a deposit on another property, and I'm like thinking, 2 million in cash? Who the hell? Who's running around that kind of cash? But that was normal, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, so I went down and ended up renting a place in Springs. Obviously, Springs now is quite expensive, but that time it dropped so much. I paid 65 grand or 65K for a 2-bedroom apartment. And I had an old Range Rover falling apart, parked in the drive, but the banks were not calling me anymore. I'm just like, I can sleep.
Oof.
And I was just like, kind of like, oh, what am I going to do now? And that's the whole thing with the Cake House story.
Exactly.
That's how that adventure
So
started.
you started Cake to solve a problem, or you saw an opportunity?
Well, the reality is that the problem that I had was also a solution for others. So I was thinking about it myself first. I said, how can, at that time it was me and Mark, that kind of, I was already in the business with my old business partner, or my current business partner as well. We're still business partners. I was kind of like, I want to do this. How can we save money? Because, funds were that.
Yeah.
Let's start our own restaurant, and then we make it exactly how we want it, and hopefully you can sell some food too and eat for free. So that was the whole concept, right? But it hit the nail on the head, because we started here in JLT, and there wasn't really that many food outlets. So there was maybe 1 or 2 restaurants in the whole area here. There's 70 odd buildings
true.
here. Obviously, they weren't all finished at the time, and people start coming, and just seeing people, eating something that we created, and they liked it. It just sparked something in me. I mean, this is so cool. Creating something that other people like.
Exactly.
I wasn't thinking about making money. I was just thinking, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
How can we make this better? And obviously since then we continue innovating and so on.
In a perspective, when you started the restaurant, you also started, I would say, in a healthy way, right?
So the whole thing with Cake-Al is that it follows, at that time it was kind of the Paleolithic diet or caveman diet, whatever you want to call it. Obviously it's developed since then as more studies come and so on, but the essential part of what Cake-Al started as is kind of low carb food. That was the idea, because that's how I ate. I would eat a whole lot of vegetables, lean chicken, and some kind of carbs. So that was the whole concept, and it still is the same thing today. Obviously now it's just expanded a lot more. But yeah, it served my own purpose.
True. But what hits me here, back like 15 years ago, this whole wellness, fitness, being healthy, it didn't exist to that level as we live now.
Not. Definitely not. I mean, there was one gym, Fitness First, right? And everybody went to it.
Exactly.
Everybody that I know from back then went to the same gym.
True.
There was a couple of gyms in Dubai as well, but I went to in Patuta, and kind of my whole world evolved around the people that I met
true.
there, and now, now there's a gym on every corner,
Exactly.
So
And eating healthy now is like, let's say, part of life, and it's a trend, and. But back in the days, as an entrepreneur, how did you see that there is a market for it? It's like,
frankly speaking, I didn't. We did not see that was going to be the next big golden goose or whatever it is. We didn't see that. It just solved the need that I had and Mark had at the time. And look, the cool thing about, if you can, so back then people usually think dried chicken, lettuce.
Yeah.
Boring. How can we make this So you know when you have a nice steak with some gravy and some potatoes and whatever, right? Oh, this is a flavor and so on, but it's pretty heavy depending on how it's made.
True.
But how do we get that same emotion from people eating kcal food, that you eat kcal food, it tastes great, but it's also good for you, right? That's the key kind of like thing, and in the start it wasn't perfect.
Yeah. I want to talk about this start. Why? A lot of people have good ideas.
Yes.
And of course, you're not a chef.
Nope.
Yeah. So a lot of people have ideas and they say like, okay, I don't have the expertise or the skills to turn this idea into a reality. In your case, kcal, you're not a chef, but you have a passion or an obsession towards something. So you went after it. How did you assemble that?
Well, I think that passion and drive beats any education. If you have a person that studies to become a lawyer, spends whatever 8 years to do that, and then you have a person who gets indicted for something, but he hasn't got the money for a lawyer.
Exactly.
He's going to study so much
to the heart. Yeah.
Who's going to know more about it? The guy who studied 10 years who didn't really care about it, or the guy who's so passionate to succeed because it will cost him dearly if he doesn't? The guy who's passionate, right? So I for anyone, I mean, education, I'm not saying education is bad, because for me personally, education is every day. I sit here with you, I learn from you, we've just had a nice chat, you're very well educated in terms of life and so on, which is inspiring. I learn from my colleagues that have their own passions and so on. So if whatever you want to do in life, there is a road, but the price is time and dedication to succeeding, and not many people are willing to pay that price. So not being a chef didn't really matter, because I had the drive to succeed. And in most cases, a chef is an execution on a recipe, and he has some kind of taste buds. But in reality, everyone here, or you, me, whatever, know exactly what tastes good, right? So you have, let's say, 40 plus years of experience of how food should taste. So you're an expert in your own realm, right? Now you just gotta expand it to be more adaptable to other people as well. So that's kind of the thing. I mean, I've worked with some great chefs and so on. I think one of the biggest issues with restaurants is that chefs think they can run restaurants.
Exactly.
The problem with chefs is, if they're really passionate, can create that product that is so good. The problem is the business part, because they run themselves down to create this excellence, and at some point they give up because they simply can't manage that constant pressure, because they want to do the best they can. They have to share the knowledge and create a system so they can share the responsibilities on how to execute. I think that's why most chefs, they fail at restaurants, because they think at it, and they should think it, but they have to mix it with business logic. I'm a chef, I can do this. So I think not being a chef actually had a very positive impact on how do we do this, and of course, going into an F&B business, what do I know about that? I had no clue. I didn't even know how a POS system worked. Nothing. I didn't even know how to set up P&L. We had a couple of guys at an early stage that knew some sort of it, that became colleagues of ours. My first chef is my biggest boss now, Pramod. He's like my right hand. We work very well together. I mean, he does think I'm a little bit obsessive with quality and control. I still am, because I know, that's going back to, that's the feeling that I got when people say, wow, this is really cool. That feeling, it's just, when you build a business, whether it's a service, food, whatever it is, and you have customers that has no affiliation with you, are not getting paid to say it's good, but they say it in their own, this feeling, it's like, it's the ever hunting entrepreneurial feeling, for me at least. That just makes it wow, this is cool. Don't care about the money. I just want to feel like, I guess it's something to do with like kind of like when your parents or teachers say you did really well. That kind of feeling that transitions
Exactly.
into a customer saying wow, I really like it.
That fuels you.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of like, that's also why I'm extremely obsessive with CRM or customer experience.
Yeah.
We have a thing. I made up this kind of acronym called CQC: consistency, quality, and customer experience equals V, value. Kind of like MC squared,
True.
right? So that's everybody in the company knows that is. When we discuss that, is it CQC? Then they know, instead of having to explain it every time. So
Love that, actually. It's a very nice one.
yeah.
Let's move from the first restaurant in GLT. When the first stickers of success happened, that you said, okay, we're expanding now. Tell me about this transition, because having a business is one thing and going through expansion is another thing.
Yeah. Again, I mean, when we expanded this, we got a location down in Business Bay, another restaurant, and opened there. At that time, we didn't have a CPU, and we didn't have the money to buy one. So I had an old friend of mine who was a very wealthy local guy. And this comes down to how you also present yourself as a person. If you're a person that people feel they can trust, and you don't cross people, things starts happening in life. You know what I mean? Like whatever positive you send out, it reflects backwards. And it has happened to me many times, and this was one of the times. So we needed to expand because we saw the opportunity. Now we kind of like, oh, people actually like it. Oh, that's so cool. Let's see if we can build it into a business. Bear in mind that I built a business that made a lot more money, but never had that kind of, opportunity of building a business where you employ more people and so on. And it was a very new thing to me. So I had to go through a lot of transition and update myself, kind of like, updating the firmware constantly.
Yeah, exactly.
So we started, we kind of got a location down in Executive Towers down in Business Bay. Because obviously we start seeing that, whoa,
It works.
Who healthy food is what people eat during the week. And in the weekends, they go and
Cheat.
Exactly. They cheat on us. So it made sense to go to a business area, right? Like JLT. Right? There's a lot of business towers here. Then we went to Business Bay, and that time we needed a kitchen. And an old friend of mine, and I was like, yeah. And he said, look, I have a kitchen. And I'm like, dude, how much you want? So look, go and have a look. So it's like a small place, like 2,500 square feet. It was down in Alcuse, and he and I said, look, man, I don't have the fun, because keep in mind, and starting a business and you want to expand, it costs money, and we didn't take a salary, so we were just living on a rock, I mean, luckily we eat for free, which was the initial purpose, right? But it doesn't fill the pocket, So he's like, look, don't worry about it, Andreas. I know you. I know, I've got a lot of local friends. They know you. Take it. I said, dude, we need to make an agreement, because I don't want just to, you come and say, oh, now you have to move out because you didn't pay or something. Let's make an agreement. I said, all right, pay me over 2 years, $1.5 million. And I said, signed it. Didn't even take checks, security, nothing. He says, don't worry, I trust you. Which again, it comes back to this, the energy you send out. Yeah, you might get screwed over, but if you have a pure heart and kind of like, not trying to screw people over, the right people will see that, and they will give you opportunities. And when you're an entrepreneur and in early stage, you need these opportunities to grow.
True.
Because if you don't have them, it's super, super hard. I mean, so many businesses fail because of egos and this, oh, I'm too good, I shouldn't ask for help, this and that. Help is the smartest thing you can do. And you know what? If you're humble about it and you ask, people will help.
True.
Because they set a pride in it. I mean, I still ask for help. Of course, why wouldn't I ask for help? Anyway, so we acquired this kitchen, and that kind of changed the business. I mean, we went from crazy, man. It was really crazy, actually. We went from like turning over 3.8 to 25 million in a year. It was like boom. It was chaos. It was this. It was that. It was, oh man. It was. Yeah, that was a serious thing.
A question here.
Yeah.
The financial crash passed or not?
So no. That's why I didn't have any money to do anything. I had a little bit which I put into the.
No, I mean like the whole overall financial crash. I mean like it didn't come to your head. I was kicking ass in real estate.
Okay,
I should not go back.
You're talking about how it deprived me from my ego and so on. So look, I don't come from a fancy background. I've never really had much when I was a kid. I was also highly dyslexic. I still am. It's not that it changed. I just memorize words now, so I can read. It's just because I memorized them. But when I was a kid, I couldn't read. I mean, I was like the dumb kid. So I was always at the bottom of the barrel, right? I had nothing. There's only one way, that's up. So when this happened, I'm kind of like, well, I'm back to square one. Did it once, do it again. Of course, it was a bit annoying, but that specific scenario taught me, I think it was very healthy. It came at the right time. I think a lot of coincidence don't happen just by randomness. I believe that, and I also believe it's a belief that you should believe that things happen to you for a reason. If you say things happen to me because I'm a bad person, or I'm this, or I'm not good at this, then you have this mindset of being a victim of your own life. What are you going to achieve? Nothing. So I think it was a very it came at the right time, because it kind of like, living, fancy watches and this and that, whoa, we're going to clubs at that time, spending money and blah, blah, blah. It was a lot of nonsense, and it came at the right time. So all of a sudden that all just got pulled away.
A wake-up call.
100% a wake-up call, right? And it's kind of like, you know what? I got to get serious now, because I got to focus. I remember one of my friends told me, oh, you know what? You can just become a personal trainer. I was nothing against personal trainers, but I came from running businesses to losing everything, and somebody tells me to become a personal trainer, which I have nothing against. I mean, I could be, but no, I need more than that. So that kind of what do you say? Kind of realigned my priorities in life.
True.
Because material things can make you very stupid. Oh, need car, need this, constant. I want. It becomes like, whoa. It kind of realigned me and redirected me to, what do I want? And obviously over time, now it's a long time ago now. I think that stuck with me, kind of like realigning continuously. Where do I want to go? What's a priority for me? What's in priority in life? Where do I want to be in 10 years? Where do I want to be in 20 years? What would I like to my kids to learn from me? What would I like my wife to think of me? The way I act, the way I do stuff. So I think I believe that failures are not meant to deprive you of who you are, but it's meant to teach you how to move forward.
If you got the lesson.
Yes, but it's a mindset, right?
Yeah.
Because the more you tell yourself a certain thing, the better it implements. So if you keep saying, I'm a failure, you wake up, you're a failure. You are a failure,
No, true.
right? But if you keep saying, you know what did I learn from this? What do I want to achieve from this catastrophic event that has led me to believe this and this and this? Now, how do I move on? And what can I take from this and make it even better?
I love that. What is the culture inside of Kekau? How do you define the culture? How do you see it?
Oh, culture is everything in a business. Culture is everything.
What do you stand for?
I'm trying to think what people would say, but it's a rather large company now, so there are probably some that would say it's a bit, maybe hectic. But I think most of the people would say it's an awesome place. for the reason that I keep growing. I would rather prefer to hire within than from outside, because they understand where we are, and it gives a lot of inspiration. So I'll give you an example. We have quite a large cleaning department, like 40 people that takes care of our facility, of our main facility. And these guys obviously come in at a low salary, they get paid, they have accommodation, they have food, clothing, and all that stuff. But one of the guys called Kingsley, and I'm sure he's going to see this, so he'll be proud. He's been with me 12 years. He started like that. Now he's an assistant store manager, and he makes like 10 times the salary. How much does that inspire other people?
True.
You know, everybody says, wow, look at him. He used to be like me. I want to go there. You know, the inspiration in life is always what drives us to do better, right? If there's no inspiration, and that's obviously what the environment, look, if you have great leadership, it will inspire you to do better. Hence Dubai, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, how many people do you know that came from nothing,
Absolutely.
gone here, and all of a sudden you see the next time say, yeah, I've got this business going really well. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
You know,
And anywhere in the world is going to be absolutely different. True.
Yeah, it's such an inspiration. So you know, obviously having a very kind of like entrepreneurial mindset. I love to do new stuff. I love to have fun. I say 40% mad, 40%, 60% we follow a system.
Yeah. Love that.
Do we make mistakes? Yes, but it's great mistakes, things that we learn from, and so on. And I think when you create a culture where people, they have a voice. We have these committees where I rarely make decisions based on me only. I do make decisions, of course, but it's based on collective intelligence, as I call it, where we debate what's the right thing for the business. How do we do this? Of course, I have a board as well. Certain things would have to go through the board on a larger scale. But when you come down to business, menu development, business creation, and so on, what do you think? Because the cool thing about having a lot of nationalities is that you have different viewpoints. You know, if everybody were the same,
Exactly.
the likelihood of success is not very big.
True.
But the more different perspective you have of the same thing, the more likelihood of making the right choices. You know, so for instance, I can come up with an idea, and then it goes over to one of the other guys and one of the ladies, and so on. By the time we're finished, after an hour of kind of brainstorming, we have this golden goose of an idea.
True.
Hence the reason we're KCAL is today. You know, we have 7 businesses, very successful in all of them. We get a lot of hype and so on. That's down to the culture. That's down to the people. Down to the people in the restaurants. Down to the people in the kitchen. Our head office here. All of them, they all have a very significant role to play in executing on ideas that, I'll give you an example. Spring, which is kind of a meal kit, similar to Hello Fresh and the local one here, Hello Chef. The only problem with those businesses that you get a box, you have to chop this, that, and the other. It takes an hour and a half, right? And, you know, I'm thinking, can't we do this better? I'm going to the office, called my main man, Pramod. Dude, I've got an idea. What do you think about this? And he's always like, oh, another idea? And he's like, yeah, it sounds simple. I think we can do that. All right, let's brainstorm. That's what led to Spring today. And Spring for me is very cool business, because all the learning curves we have for all the other businesses, Spring have led into how we execute on the customer experience, how we do the delivery, how we do the product, everything. And this is all collective intelligence from everybody involved. You know, it just, most people that say, I invented the iPhone. Steve Jobs didn't invent the iPhone. Yeah, he was part of it launching it, but he's got 1,000 people that was implemented, but he always gets the gratitude for it, you know. So if you create this environment where people are allowed to flow information without, you know, if you sit in a committee or a meeting and you're allowed to express yourself without other people kind of looking at you like, that's a dumb idea. If people feel comfortable in sharing, then you can really create magic.
With no fear.
Yes, because everybody has part of them that's very creative. It's just about letting it loose. And creativity is the strongest part of the mind.
True.
It's the one that you're able to visualize what's in the next room without being there, or at least imagination.
True.
If you're always stuck in the same room and you're not allowed to be creative, you'll never think what's in the next door or next room.
Exactly.
But if you have that kind of hyper focus of creativity, you think, I wonder if it's the same, or it could be different, or this and that, and all of a sudden you start thinking different layers of mind, and you can really create some cool stuff, man. And that's how.
Do you still
build people.
hire yourself, or?
Depends. Depends on what level.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't. Senior people, yes, I do, but mostly it's about me understanding. Look, they will go through a process, of course, but I don't really care about their education in the past. I care about the education going forward. And if people have a PhD and they think I'm the man, I'm the woman, you can't be hired. I don't care how smart you are at current point. The world shifts so fast that if you don't keep updating yourself in 6 months, you will not be of value to the business anymore. You'll be a headache. So when I hire, I look at how people, first of all, fit into the culture. Because you can have the smartest person, but he will destroy the culture.
Exactly.
No point, right? You can have the best football player in the world and a great team, but if that guy has an ego like
Selfish,
nothing else, he will destroy the team and they will never win a game. So look at the culture fit, the mindset, and then look at, like, for instance, what was the last thing that you looked up on Gemini or Grok or GBT? Show me. Tell me. I think the last person that I spoke
It's an
to.
interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, look. At the end of the day, look, I will tell you because it says a lot about a person,
True.
right? And for me, it's not about where you were; it's about where you are going. Where do you want to be part of a business that educates you? Education is your own, but being part of a continual mindset growth. You know, whether it is watching half an hour of YouTube or podcast that teaches you something, whether it's about marketing or content creation, whatever it is, you know, always try to be more, you know, be hungry. If I can see that, they don't need to have a university degree. I actually, quite frankly, most people that spend a long time in an institutionalized setup become sheep, and they have very hard time getting out of the box.
True.
That might be great for a business that doesn't grow much, but when you are in this kind of
growth engine,
exactly, you want people that are the same thing, or else they'll, you know, A players want to play with A players.
Exactly.
A players don't want to play with C players, right? Because they're like weights around your feet. So I hire for, how are you going to educate yourself? How does that person fit into the business culturally? I hire for brain. I don't really care what color you are, whatever all this nonsense. I care about this, and I like people that has a little bit of edge. You know what? I have a saying. It takes new people have a very hard time to understand this because they're not used to it. The more you tell me I'm wrong, the more I know you care. Just think about that, right? Most leaders have egos that won't allow that.
Yeah.
But if somebody has the urge, let's say balls,
True.
to tell the boss that he's wrong, you better freaking listen, man, because that person might have seen something you haven't, and that could save you from making some serious mistakes.
True.
So I think it's a pretty cool saying,
Exactly,
but it is a very strange thing when new people come into the business.
True. Because ego kills here. Ego.
Ooh, it is when you work with people, ego is the biggest problem by far, and we all have it to a certain extent. Some people hide it better. You know, I have an ego, you have an. Everybody has it. It's just a matter of kind of what is an ego? Is it
Is destroying you, or it's
yeah,
like,
exactly. I mean, ego can be diverted into many different references, but yeah, exactly. And you I mean, I see it in my own people as well, and my colleagues and so on, when they have grown through businesses. Sometimes we have a chat. I say, look, you've grown a lot over the past years, but you have to remember that becoming a leader doesn't mean that you're the best. It means that you are the best at leading. You listen, you understand, you direct.
True.
And these are conversations that I had with the top people as well. We debate this and so on, because nothing is built by one person. Nothing is built by one department. It's synergies between different departments.
True. Andreas, you mentioned very interesting thing, then I want to touch base upon it.
Sure.
Because 15 or 16 years, it's a long journey. So number one, you've mentioned about A players like to work with A players, B, like, amazing. Take me through this process, because a lot of gurus online comes and say like, you only hire A players, you only hire A players. Okay, for an entrepreneur just starting off, knocking doors, tight on cash,
Yeah.
how on earth is it stays true that, okay, also in the beginning, hire A players, or how you phase it?
Okay, so the reality is that most of the people that I heard on YouTube and so on, they are already funded with hundreds of millions of dollars. They can buy themselves through something, and when people see that the company has a lot of money, they say, all right, I can get paid down the line. But the reality is that is very few businesses that have that kind of money and people that want to invest in them. The reality is that you have businesses like how I started, or thousands of others that have very little money. And how do you find these people, right? So I have learned that, and it actually goes back to how I interview people, that I hire for drive. Because when you are an entrepreneur and you start your business, you might have an idea or a destination to go, but getting there is not defined. Business plans are great as a starting point, sure, but don't get hung up in it, because as whatever you learn today, tomorrow you will encounter something and you learn something new, right?
Exactly.
So if you follow a business plan, this is not. So what you want to do, or at least in my reality, is that you want to hire people that wants to grow themselves, that wants to learn. Because if you hire a person that is an A player today, when your business is growing 20, 30% a year, that person, if he doesn't grow, in 1 year, he's going to be the problem. And then you have gratuity, and you already paid him too much,
True.
I've gone through that myself, actually. So when you're an entrepreneur that starts out, find that person that resonates with you, that you have good communication with. Define clearly what the objective is, and then make sure that person is also willing to learn and grow their own mindset, however that is calculated. And if they have fun and you get the right people, then growing a business it's a lot more inspirational. Working with people that have, look, first of all, I don't think, depending on who you are, but most entrepreneurs that start businesses, they have this idea that they cement in their head, and they kind of like, this is going to be the greatest. They have the drive, they have this, they have, whoa, and they expect everybody to think the same. But that's not reality, right?
True.
You will never get, let's say the founder and the jack of all trades to start with has 100%. The next person might only have 60, and it starts annoying you that person is. But the reality is, why would he have 100% of your dream?
True.
It's your dream, not his.
100%.
He's getting paid, but you have to inspire them, right? And that's why you have to hire people that wants to drive, that wants to grow, that wants to be part of something awesome. I mean, I have many people in my business like that. I even have a person that got inspired and said, look, I'm going to quit my job. I said, all right, cool. And he quit his job. He went and started a business. He knows who he is. He's probably going to see this. And he calls me up, Andreas, it didn't go the way I planned. I say, I bet so. Do you have a job for me? I said, of course, man. You left on good terms. And he is flying now. And now he's kind of like, he wants to start his own business, but now he sees the value of being part of an entrepreneurial company, because it's like education, right?
True.
The hardest part about being an entrepreneur is people. It's always people.
Yeah.
Actually, whatever business it is, unless you invent some weird
People
thing that you have a
business.
patent on. But any business that are human heavy, it's always the people. It's rarely the product. If you can make a product, if you can make a profit on a product you've produced, then it's just being able to scale it and making sure you've the right people support it. That's the hard part.
Couple of things how to grow the people inside of your organization, like to inspire them, to grow them, to make sure that, I don't want to say to stay, because your objective is to build leaders as well. So how do you do that within your organization?
So first of all, to teach, you need to be a really good learner, I believe. There's an old saying, you need to practice what you preach.
True.
If you're a leader that has an ego and believes that you're the best in the world and nobody's better than you, and blah, 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 all that you see many times, right? Nobody's going to follow you, because the only person you're fooling is yourself. Everybody knows who you are.
True.
You know, people will laugh behind your back and they're just there for the salary. But my belief is that if you are truly passionate about growing people and understanding people, they will see an inspiration and a learning curve within you. And soon, depending on the size of the team, the person will be inspired. I say, you know what, that is a really, really profound feeling you're giving me. I want to be able to do that to people as well. But it's a journey, right? But when you start energizing people and putting down kind of small steps on how to be able to handle and observe people, being able for them to be in an environment where they
flourish.
thrive,
Yeah.
then it actually flows pretty well. Saying that, people are people. I mean, any leader that thinks that people are sheep, they will never have success. But they might have success, but it's going to be a lot harder. But people that feel, I work with people. People have emotions. They have bad days, they have good days. This is a fact. This is part of my business as well. I cannot take that out of the equation.
True.
Because if I take that out, I get soldiers, and I have to control everything. Then I have to micromanage everybody. I want people that think for themselves and come up with ideas. And part of that is also goes back to these, collective committees where you sit and debate things, without me having to say, yeah, this is the way we're going. I said, what do you think? What do you see? I bring people in finance, marketing, operations, everybody, let's talk. Because finance think completely different than operations. The marketing think, how do we sell it?
True.
And then when you bring everybody together, then you get a lot of different nuances to the same idea. Maybe the idea changes slightly, maybe it doesn't, maybe so having this, it comes down to culture. It comes down to how you grow leaders. I've shared a book, I've mentioned that many times, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is a Dale Carnegie book, very old book, and it's a deep psychology book written in a very common manner that anyone that's not on a self-experience mode, or I want to change my life, they can read it and understand it. But it's a very, very foundational book for anyone that wants to lead other people.
I love that. 16 or 15 years. One of the critical things in growing a company, sometimes the top or the CEO is the ceiling for the growth of the company. So every phase has its own set of characteristics, let's put it that way. So that's why sometimes you see a CEO started a company, or he was the founder even, stepped out, brought somebody in to take it to the next level and next level. Couple of things within your organization. How did you make sure that you are not the ceiling of the company, and how did you develop yourself to raise the bar every year?
You're 100% right. It all depends on, my belief is, it all depends on how do you satisfy your own needs of who you want, where you want to go, and what you want to become. So some founders, they like the startup phase. Well, I actually do that. I love the startup phase. There's a lot of problems to solve. I suppose that's why also KCAL keep inventing new things to do, because then it's kind of a startup phase all the time. But I also like, I've been ups and downs so many times, and every time you go right to the bottom of the ocean, you rebuild yourself mentally, and when you have done that enough times, I think you become a lot more self-aware of who you are and what your capabilities are. I think people that get to a stage where they become the problem in the business is that they have not had enough letdowns, so they think they're on a continuous streak going upwards, and I'm the man, and it becomes the failure of the business. It takes character to admit that I'm not that guy anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to deal with all these problems. I'll become the chairman, and then somebody else can run it. They can run certain things behind me, because I know I'm not the guy who's so structured that I can, make sure the governance is right and so forth. But for me, I really, really enjoy working with people and seeing people grow, which, and myself as well, continuous learning. And being in a high, intense environment where a lot of things happen all the time, it thrives me. I think that's it satisfies my ADHD, because there's a million things, right? So I have crazy days, man. Crazy days. Like this morning I started at 6:15, meetings, some filming, some this, now a podcast, and in between, I had to taste some food and this and that, so I'm sitting with 2 things at a time. Most people wouldn't enjoy that, but I do that. Then I feel empowered, So I think being self-aware of when you become the problem is I think is a really good question, because a lot of people, they think, it's never gonna end, I'm gonna stay the blah blah blah, but the reality is that at some point, if you do not educate yourself, especially on human relationships, you will become the stopping block, right? I mean, there's many companies, big companies that has happened to, I mean, look at Steve Jobs, for instance,
absolutely,
right? He got kicked out. He went and started Pixlr and learned a lot from all the creative people and so on. I mean, and came back and they hired him, and the rest is history, right? So if you think this is a cliche, if you think you're the smartest person in the room as a CEO, you should probably find another job, because you are going to be a problem for the business.
Exactly. I love that. You trained yourself to reduce the mental fatigue that you have, like with what you train, what you eat, what you wear. Tell us a little bit about these.
Biohacking, longevity, and so on. These days, biohacking and longevity has almost become kind of a buzzword. I'm a very high intensive person. Anyone that knows me really well they get quite frustrated because I do so many things and I can't sit still. But it works great for me. Not everybody's the same. But there are basic things that people can do, and I do it. The non-negotiable is sleep. Believe it or not. I mean, I know sleep now there's a lot more awareness about it, but that's where your brain kind of like slows down. Although mine still doesn't. Man, the other night I woke up at 2:00 and I had a problem. And I'm like, how do I wake up thinking about this problem? And I wrote it down. Funny enough, I actually solved it.
That was the solution.
What's going on? I was even talking to one of the guys in the office. What the hell's going on? Anyway, so sleep. If I'm sure every time if I get tired, I sleep from 11 till about 6. Right? So 7 hours and 20 minutes, more or less. That works great for me. Never tired, I get tired at quarter to. I'm so structured in my life of habits that at quarter to 11,
I'm done.
10 minutes past 10 minutes past 11, 2 minutes past 11, I'm asleep.
Finished.
So I have everything is structured. Non-negotiable is sleep. Without sleep, I mean, back in the day, they used to torture people
Yeah, exactly.
the same way, not sleep, right? Sleep.
True.
And then obviously, it's exercise. So the 3 non-negotiables: good nutrition, however you define that, KCAL of course.
Exactly.
Sleep, and then exercise, whatever exercise that may be. It could be paddle, it could be basketball, it could be football, whatever it is. Just something that keeps you going, that makes your heart tick a little faster, and so on. For me, it is sleep, obviously nutrition, and then exercise. So I go to the gym every day. I walk about 15 to 20,000 steps a day. I walk to the gym and I walk back, especially now that it's cold.
Yeah,
it's really
exactly.
awesome.
Weather is good. Yeah.
I listen to either a podcast or sometimes I'm on the phone, or it's a strange thing. It's kind of like meditation for me, because when I'm in the gym, sometimes I don't want to go, but I go anyway, just because I know I feel great afterwards. And I go there, and it's kind of like meditation because it resets me. I go, take a shower, go to bed. It's the last thing I do every day, and it just feels awesome, and I feel so good. So these things are non-negotiables when it comes to me, and it should be for everybody, for that matter. People that say, "Oh, you need 4 hours of sleep." You might be able to train your body, but imagine you slept 2 hours later and your potential grew 25%.
Exactly.
Would you not do that investment?
True.
I mean, what do you do in those hours that you don't sleep? Most people just watch TV.
Yeah.
Great. What do you get out of TV? Just nonsense.
True.
Or swipe. Oh, TikTok. Oh, I'm getting smarter. Nope, you're not.
Exactly. Wasting.
So and of course, nutrition. I mean, I'm a biohacker. Like really kind of like, I do a whole compound of vitamins and different kinds of roots and all sorts, which is actually led into us creating a product that's going to come out in about a month and a half, called KCAL Core. It's like it's taking what I take, putting it into one pack, and you take that every morning. It's going to be freaking awesome.
I love that.
Yes, and it's. I mean, there are other people now. Obviously, Beckham's product INA, but it's kind of like his longevity, which is the expensive part, is here. Ours are here. It is freaking awesome. I mean, he's got 300 milligrams of NMN. We've got 600.
Oof.
So it's kind of just better. You know what I mean? And I can't wait for that to come out, because I get a silver pack of tablets every morning, and it's like,
that's very good.
So taking care of yourself, and especially when you want to execute and you want to build, you need all the fuel you can, and that's also why I create a habit about everything I do.
True.
Anything I can put into a habit, repeat it. I put it into a habit. Exactly, a habit system, right? And because when you build and you are in growth mode, there are so many things that are unforeseen. So if you have all these problems that you haven't put into a habit, and you still have to deal with them, plus you have all the other problems, mental fatigue, coming back to where it is. So putting like same clothes, same food, same time, same sleep, same gym time,
You release your brains for more important things, actually.
Of course. So if you have 10 balls in the air, if you can take 5 of them and put them into a system that you don't need to think about, now you have 5, so you have 20%, or you can have 100% on each of them continuously. But if you have 10 balls in the air, it's like, oh, overwhelming. And overwhelming is typically where entrepreneurs they fatigue out
and burn out. True.
What am I gonna do? I've got this problem with this employee. Now I've got rent over there. I've got this. I've got that. Oh, I'm falling apart. Everything is shit. Oh. Typical story, right?
The question here comes out. People say like, "Oh my God, nutrition is important," but at the same time, it's so complex. A myth. I need to eat 1,000 calories. I need to eat 500 calories. I need to do this. I need to do that. F it. They go the other direction.
100%. The convenience part of it is what triggers people not to do it, because if it's convenient to go down to whatever restaurant, it might not be the healthiest option, but it's just convenient. You know, by nature, human beings are lazy.
Exactly, true.
You know the story about the guy who invented the wheel, right?
Exactly, true.
You know, the guy is carrying a rock, and another guy thinks, "Man, I'm so lazy. You know what? Why don't I? You know what? I'll create a kind of a trolley kind of thing, and I'll take all the rocks at once, and I can sit and watch all the other guys do." Hey, laziness is innovation, right?
True.
Imagine that. Like before they had horse carriage. How, it takes too long to get there. I'll invent the car. You know, so laziness is kind of the trigger, but it's also it also has the dark side, which is like, can't be asked going to the gym. I can't be asked doing what most people know what the right thing is to do, but until it pains or it becomes a pain point, they will not change it.
Exactly.
Like health, for instance, right?
True.
Imagine you broke your right arm tomorrow. You'll know how much you need that right arm. Or your right leg. You can't drive no more. You know, so you know, I think being a realist and say, all right, you know, taking care of your health before it becomes, hence the reason true healthcare prevention is better than cure.
Exactly.
That's actually on our main wall in KCAL. That's the whole thing. So comfort zone is a great place, but you know, not much grows there. You know, it's outside that grows there, and a comfort zone is also about habits of eating. The problem with eating and so forth is that one thing, it's convenience, but there are two things here: smell and taste.
True.
Now you have comfort, smell, and taste. How am I going to get out of three? You know?
Exactly. We are in the Alpha Talk show. I always ask the Alpha guest to define an alpha from their perspective. What's an alpha from your perspective?
An alpha in my perspective.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting question. Yeah, there used to be a lot of talk about alphas and so on. What is an alpha? You know what? I think an alpha is somebody who doesn't need to swim with the stream. They don't mind swimming against it. For me, not being afraid to do something that the norm doesn't accept would I consider being an alpha. So you can define alpha as being the guy who hits the hardest and so on, but that is a limited mindset, I think.
And old style as well.
Exactly. But the person that if you decide to become an entrepreneur, or if you decide to move to South Korea, that's an alpha move because you're way out of your comfort zone. Right? That takes belief and self-confidence. Is I can succeed. I can build a business. I think that would define alpha.
I love that. I love it. I have a section called The Pure Human Behind the Alpha. I'll ask you a couple of questions.
Sure.
So from the outside, your discipline looks like a strength. But what part of your personality actually makes success harder, not easier?
Wow. What parts of my personality makes it harder? Well, it depends on how you find success. I mean, most people define success in building a successful business and making money, right? I think success for me is being able to be part of something and see it thrive, and having a successful family as well, because you know, I'm 47, but I probably lived twice as long, so I'm halfway through life, right? And I'm not going to be in KCAL forever, but my family will be there forever. So making sure you have a successful family and a successful business, however you quantify success, whether it's being very rich or being part of a movement, which I believe KCAL is. I think the biggest is probably overthinking. You know, the internal voice that constantly debates with myself what do I do next? How do I do this? What do I do now? I think overthinking is probably, I wouldn't say it's a limit, but it's definitely sometimes one of those things that I debate with myself a lot of things.
True.
Always kind of like running 180 miles and
Non-stop.
stopping up, saying, you know, what's going on, you know. But it's an internal thing.
True. You're highly disciplined, but also an overthinker. So when the noise stops and the phone is off and there is nothing to fix, what does your mind drift towards?
Finding a problem to fix.
Oof.
No nonsense, really. Yeah, frankly speaking, there is nothing worse for me than have nothing to do.
Yeah.
When I go to my home in Denmark, 3 months prior to that, I start making a plan on what I should do.
Yeah.
And I build
Otherwise,
stuff. There's nothing worse for me than having nothing to do. I love going into rabbit holes. Anything with a rabbit hole. Like, for instance, this core business, right? I have spent so much time because there's so much research on all these different ingredients that I need to do and so on, and making sure they fit together and so on. There's so much. It is awesome. I love doing it, you know. The worst for me is when there is nothing, not something that I cannot, that inspires me. I need a problem to solve. It can be anything. I love technical stuff, engines. I love solving complex mysteries on why things don't work and so on. Honestly, it's an obsession, because it doesn't really suit any purpose. It could be any problem, but it's just my own
part of your
my own
character.
feel that I solved it. You know, it's not like oh yeah, listen to me, I solved this problem. I don't really care what other people think. It's just myself. It just gives me so. The downside of that is I have a very hard time switching off. I'm never off. I'm always on.
Yeah.
And I have to trigger my mind to kind of be off. Like, for instance, it sounds a bit mad, this, but like, for instance, if I have to go to a restaurant that I haven't been to before, I have to explain to myself why I would go there. Because I cannot be asked with bad service and bad food. So my wife is annoyed with this, but then why can't we go to another place? Why you always want to go to this place? Because it's
controlled.
Yeah, no, it's just I don't
Decisions
want any
are
issues.
done.
Yeah,
True.
decisions. I can't
Done,
be asked.
yeah.
I make enough decisions when I'm at work. I
Yeah.
speak to 1 million people at work. I don't want it. I just want it easy.
True.
So yeah, I think that's it.
There will be a question if, let's say, your children will see and watch this episode 20 years from now.
I hope they will.
Yeah. So what one message you want to leave it to them?
No matter. That was a very deep question, man. That's very deep. I almost got tears in my eyes there. That's why I kept quiet. Whatever you decide to do in life, do it with passion. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Be a person and a personality you can be proud of. Make sure you take care of people next to you, because it'll always pay back tenfold over a period of time.
A lovely one. What should the viewers wait for KCAL next? What's coming?
Yeah, well, we just opened in Saudi, which is a very interesting market. Actually, a lot easier to get started than I expected. Actually, I have my main man over there, Rob, that's taking care of it. He's a solid dude, man. And obviously that's team behind him as well. Kuwait is there. That's going to be, I mean,
Expansion.
Yeah, exactly. So those are huge projects. In terms of where KCAL is going with business, we had a summary of the senior management here at the start of 26, where I explained we're not going to do any more new businesses this year, and they're all laughing. Yeah, right. You'll come up with something. I hope I'm not, because we have a lot on the plate. We are launching a couple of new cores. One of them, So we're going to focus on that and make that a success. For me, it's this new product that's coming along. It's a very passionate product. It's going to be freaking awesome. So yeah, I mean, there's so much in the pipeline for things, but business-wise, business ventures, core is the next. But we've been working on that for a while. It's almost there.
Done. Andreas, it's been a pleasure, and I would say that I could go for another even by my
10 minutes.
my prep. No, another hour or two. But I wanted to be a little bit light on the viewers, not as a long shot. And I'm sure we'll do another episode that will dig deep into some tactical things in your leadership, in your organization, that will really benefit the viewers. So thank you
Sure.
very much for
Thank you
being
very much.
with us today. It's a pleasure, and wish you all the best and the continuous success with KKL.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
That wraps another inspiring episode of today's show. I hope that this episode has ignited your inner alpha and left you feeling inspired, motivated, and ready to conquer any challenge that comes your way. Remember, alphas aren't born, they're made. It isn't about dominating others, it's about embracing your authenticity, leading with integrity, and making a positive impact on the world. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe to the Alpha Talks on your favorite podcast platform. Leave us a review and share the podcast with your fellow alphas. Also connect with us on social media at Seif El Hakim. Share your thoughts, insight, and stories of personal and business growth with us. Let's create a movement of alphas supporting one another. The world needs more alphas like you exactly. Until next time, stay bold, stay driven, and stay alpha.